Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. My name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
We are recording Monday, October 16th, 2023. Not in a great mood today, the day after the Eagles lost embarrassingly to the New York Jets. We knew we'd have to record this episode one day. We knew that no one has a perfect season. It's not really possible anymore, and you can't expect it. You always are going to lose, but we weren't expecting it this soon. We weren't expecting it to this team, so we're pretty upset, right, Dad?
Yeah, it's funny. In the beginning of the season, with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback, when I saw the schedule, I kind of looked at it and went, well, that might be the one we lose, only because, obviously we've never lost to the Jets. Even with Aaron Rodgers, obviously we didn't know how many games they were going to be at this schedule, what their record would be, but we didn't think he'd be any good. I am actually wearing black today, my Black Eagles shirt, because I am in mourning. It's been awful. Yesterday was just a terrible game all around. We went to a bar in Phoenix, Arizona, and it was just awful. It was a 49ers bar, and it kind of put us to shame. They had a DJ. They have trucks outside. They got all kinds of stuff going on.
It was nice to see them lose with all those fans.
It was wonderful.
It was pretty heartbreaking for all of them, but yeah,
it was
pretty incredible bar.
But, yeah,
they had it set up.
It was just bad. Yeah. It was a bad day.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to thank you all for bearing with us over this last week. We weren't able to get the video out on YouTube this most previous weekend. So if you're watching right now and it says episode 13, you're like, oh, well, they skipped episode 12. Yes, we did. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get it all. Something was wrong with the computers, and we were in a different place, and no Wi-Fi, and it just didn't work out, so the video couldn't work. We got the audio out, so thankfully, if you were able to listen to that was out. But if you're watching, we got our setup back, and we're back home and everything like that. So that's really nice. Too hot in Phoenix for us. So
oh my gosh,
we're gonna go ahead and jump into it though, unfortunately. But before we get started, as always, we want to give a plug to the club. If you can go to Facebook, you can look up Philadelphia Eagles Fan Club of Colorado Springs. You can join the fan club there if you're an Eagles fan, and if you want to come down for a game, if you're ever in the city or ever around the area, come on down to Frankie's at Powers and Galley. We meet there for every Eagles game, and we hope when you come, you can watch a win for sure. But we'll go ahead and jump into it. The Eagles lost yesterday, Rams 20-14. All around, Dad, just
Jets.
What did I say?
Rams.
The Rams.
It's okay.
Jets 20-14. What do you got, Dad? All around, what do you have?
Well, it was just a tough game. We jumped ahead 14-3, and you and I kept walking over each other saying, they're right here. Here's a drive. Put it away. 21-3. Probably said that 3 or 4 times. And, there's a turnover. And then just sloppy play. And then, of course, Lane went down early. I know that was prior to us being up 14, but we knew that was going to be a problem, and Driscoll did not play well at all. It was just one of those games, we had seen the earlier games, and we had seen, like I say, the 49ers lose on a field goal. And then, obviously, as we went through our game, we didn't feel good. Eventually, we did miss a field goal, but it was just, you could just see it coming, right? I mean,
absolutely.
And there's no one else to blame in that game except the offense on the Eagles. The defense was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Great, 5 sacks. I mean,
they held the other team to 12 points.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Especially with the fact that they were losing. They lost Eli Ricks. They lost
Slade didn't play.
Reed Blankenship left the game. I'll have a whole injury list later. The defense was duct taped together.
It was good.
And they only held them to 12 points.
We had them several 3-and-outs. I know we did. I think they were 2 of 11 on third down. You got to win that game.
Yeah.
But we've seen it coming for the last 4 or 5 games, guys. We've seen it sliding, like, let's put them away. Let's put it away. And we're not that team.
They punted 4 times.
But they were 2 and 11 on third down.
Incredible.
Yeah, on third down. They went for it on fourth 2 times. And it wasn't the defense's fault. We had 4 turnovers, as we know. And the last pick of the game, I'm sure we'll get to that at some point. But
I'll jump into
can't do that.
I'll jump into that now. The passing game was horrible. I shouldn't say horrible. It was on and off. Early on, it was good. It was clicking. And AJ had 131 yards, I believe. So he played phenomenal. Devontae 44, Goddard 42, Swift 40 yards. So people were catching the ball. We were getting yards, but late, just oftentimes, 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 28-45. My first gripe with this, I have a few things to say. My first gripe with this is never, ever, ever should Jalen Hurts be throwing the ball 45 times. Okay, he should never be throwing the ball more than 25 times a game. And now I can understand there's exceptions to that if we're down by 15 or 20. Yes. We were winning the entire game until the last minute and 50 seconds. So Don't tell me he had to throw the ball 45 times. We only ran the ball. I had the stats up here
14,
in a second.
I
Yeah, we
believe.
only ran the ball 22 times. 22 times. He threw the ball 45 times.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
He should never be throwing the ball more than 25 times
No.
unless it's absolutely necessary. 45 times, that's 2 games worth of throws. And now you just lost a game of Hurts down the line.
Well, the thing about that game was, we got to the 2-minute warning. We ran him out of timeouts. Of course, somebody should have stepped out of bounds a little earlier on one of those carries to the left side and didn't. I mean, the thing that frustrates me the most is, obviously we watched football for a long time, and sometimes it's not going your way, but you got to be, at least with your drives, driving for the field goal, score the touchdown, driving for the first down. And, we're throwing it on first and second down. It's 3rd and 10. I mean, every time Hurts was pushed out of the pocket, now that's had a lot to do with Driscoll being in there, but every time he's out in the pocket and throwing the ball. Now, there were some drops that really hurt the passing game.
Yeah.
He hit Gainwell for that first down. That was a huge one.
Horrible.
And there was another one with Smith right across the middle.
Smith had 2 drops, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to harp on it. These are great players. They play hard and everything like that. But it's hard when you're watching the game. I know we weren't in our familiar territory, which made it even worse because we had fans all around that were not Eagles fans.
Yeah.
And, I get a little perturbed at that. But
I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, if next time we're in Phoenix or we have to visit someone during an Eagles season, we're watching it at home.
Yeah,
I'm not going to a bar again. And I just wanted
to, get out. We had we had a table of about 20.
10, 11, yeah.
No, we had, okay.
Yeah,
anyway,
we had all of our cousins and stuff. And that's the thing. If we won, it would have been so great. We had all the family there to cheer. We were doing the Eagles chants in the Niners bar.
Yeah.
And then we got kind of slapped for it. But
yeah, we did.
Yeah. 3 interceptions for Hurts. 2 of them. Now, the first one, you can't really blame on him. Goddard, got hit and kind of fumbled it, but it goes down as an interception.
Bounced off his knee.
The second one, you can go either way. You pick your choice. It could be Hurts' fault for holding on to it too long.
Definitely.
It could be Jack Driscoll's fault for letting the pressure in super easily. You pick your choice. It could be his fault, could be not. I think it was his fault. And then the last interception, we just have to talk about that real quick.
Yeah, that's just no
That's
excuse.
Impossible. That is an impossible interception.
You
cannot. It is impossible to throw that. Like, to me, that's impossible. It is impossible to throw that interception. That's the only thing you can't do.
Right.
You can't. So 2 things: interception, fumble. There's only thing you can't do. If you complete the pass, you shouldn't because we want the clock running.
Right.
You can overthrow the pass or throw it out of bounds and get an intentional grounding. Sure. But you cannot.
But let's
ever throw the
Let's
interception.
recap that play. Okay. Now it was the 2-minute warning. It's 3rd and 9 at our own 46.
Yes.
Okay. So we got to get the ball to their 45-yard line. In a perfect situation, the other team has no timeouts. Someone's got to call the quarterback over and say, look, if you don't have a clear-cut pass to get this first down, dance around, run, slide, clock runs. We punt the ball with the minute 5. No timeouts. Get them inside their 20. The defense had been playing phenomenal. If the defense sucked, it'd be different.
Yes.
The defense was great in the second half.
They only allowed 12 points
quarter,
the whole game.
But the fourth quarter, we were sacking them every play. And it's like, you're watching the game and I'm going, okay, just run the clock down. When he intercepted the ball, ran it down and got tackled, there was 1:50 left. Like I say, he runs around for a few seconds. He slides, 45-second game clock. Call a timeout if you have to. If not, you punt it the last second. Then they only have a minute if there's a return at all.
I would say, because
that's
game was a
ridiculous.
2-minute warning. You got to say you have an 8-second, 9-second play at the best there.
Yeah.
Then you run the clock down, 40 seconds, call a timeout, then punt it. You're looking at they get the ball back with a minute and 18, a minute 16 seconds left. The ball continues. If the ball rolls, then it's a minute 12. Yeah. But if you can get him inside their 10, that's awesome. Get him inside their 20. Zach Wilson is not going to drive that team down there to win.
I know we don't have the great punter, but you could get him inside the 20 from that spot. Even if you just do a shank punt where it bounces around, that's all you're trying to do is get them down there and run the clock.
Yeah.
And if you did not call the timeout at the 2-minute warning, and like I say, Hurts ran it for 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, and then runs forward and stays in bounds, by the time they unpile and the clock starts again, you're still down to 1:10.
I got to ask you
no timeouts.
Is that the worst interception in Eagles history? That's too far.
It's the worst interception in the last 10 years. No doubt. Hands down.
Yeah.
And I just can't believe that, first of all, we love how Hurts is grown and everything like that, but I just cannot look at him in the eye and not say that was a terrible play.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Awful. You cannot do that. Then the interception, I mean, it looked like he was going to return it for a TD. Of course, we let him score the next play, but then we did 4 passing plays, the fourth one being a bomb, which made no sense at all. It was just awful.
Definitely Hurts' worst game since 2021. Probably one of his worst games ever.
I couldn't think of another game.
It's funny because overall he probably didn't even play that bad, but that interception just brings it down so bad. Like,
well, they still had.
You just can't. We were winning the game. Now there's one thing to say we're losing by 4 at that point, and you're driving down the field, and then you throw an interception. That makes sense because you're losing and you gotta go. We have to score. We did not have to score.
No,
we want to. You should. I get that, but we were winning. You cannot throw an interception when we're winning. That is. It's
not when the other team has no timeouts and you're inside a 2-minute warning. You're running the clock down. You get them down to the 20-yard line. They've got 3 plays. Maybe some passing plays. Maybe the guy who goes out of bounds are still trying to set up for a field goal. But still, 1 tackle in bounds is a 20-second play.
Yeah,
and then it's desperation time. That was just
horrible.
Pathetic. It was pathetic coaching. It was pathetic playing. I mean, Driscoll had a bad day. I was listening to some other guys talking about Hurts, and he wasn't saying that. He was awful, in my opinion. He wasn't bad. He wasn't not good. He was awful.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. You got to learn how to play football. That was just no excuse. There's no excuse.
Yeah.
It's hard, but it's no excuse.
So, yeah, we touched on it. The running game was really bad, basically non-existent, 80 total yards, 3.6 yards a carry. Definitely the worst called game so far this season. Brian Johnson still is yet to figure it out. It felt like the last 2 weeks he kind of was getting it, and now it's back to being nope, doesn't understand it because it was brutal. The play call was horrible.
I mean, they couldn't run the ball. We saw that, right? You still got to continue to try to run the ball.
Well, that's the thing. 20 carries is not enough to say
but how many did Hurts carry?
The ball.
Hurts had at least 3 or 4 quarterback draws right away. Some of them worked, which was great. But, I mean, most of the time, of course, Swift fumbling the ball didn't help much either. But you know what I'm talking about, though, right? Hurts, horrible. I don't know how many. Just straight up quarterback draws.
He technically had 8 rushes. I would say 4 or 5 of them was a draw.
Yeah, and then the tight end screens. We did 3 or 4 of those.
And then the interception was on one of them. Defense, we talked about that for how banged up they got. They looked really good. They only allowed 1 touchdown, and they kind of purposefully let them get that touchdown.
Definitely.
And I can't believe the Jets scored there. I'm not going to sit here and talk about should they have, shouldn't they have, but whatever. I was surprised that I'm surprised how good the defense was considering how many people we lost, which we'll touch on. But
them scoring a touchdown was like what we did in the Washington game.
Yeah.
All they had to do was take 3 knees and kick a field goal.
Yeah,
it was crazy. I know we did have 2 timeouts left, I believe.
I don't know,
but they still would have been
different games, so I'm not on that.
But they still could have ran the clock down and kicked the field goal from the 20-yard.
Yeah. Special teams, pretty abysmal game. Probably the worst game of the season for them. Punt return, there was no return game whatsoever. Jake Elliott missed the only field goal he kicked. Everyone misses at some point, so we do have to, you have to be ready for that to happen. That's just how it is. Even the best kickers will miss.
Yeah.
You wish he wouldn't miss that one.
No.
That's kind of a game changer there. Change of momentum, mood shift, everything there. Just not good. You wish he would have gotten that one. And punting, not very good. We got to figure out the punter still.
Yeah, he only, 2 punts? How many punts do we have?
2 punts for 81 yards, which is actually good, a 40.
Yeah, but the one was inside the 10 at the 6.
Yeah.
The second one was an opportunity for him to just let it all out. Hang out. You let your hair down. We were pretty far away, and they had it. I don't even think they returned it. I just think they took a fair catch at the 45-yard line or something like that. Yeah. We need a punter that can boom it. That's got to fix too, because it's a disaster waiting for us to happen, and it's going to happen. There's going to be a bad return, or it's going to be a 20-yard shank when we need to stop somebody that's a good team.
Yeah. Yep, I get you. What do you need? What do you want to see more of going forward?
I mean, you're going to have to move the ball, and you're going to have to score when you're in red zone. We were saying it the whole game. We scored that one time. Now we're watching on TVs, and I still don't know how Hurts got in the end zone on that play. I haven't been able to see the replay. And then they had all that conversation. It looked like a fumble into the end zone for me, and that's the other team's ball. But
it stunk because we didn't have our big screen like we have at Frankie's. Yeah. We were sitting from afar. We had a 4-dimension TV, so it was like 4
cross in the middle.
It was like 4 TVs, and each corner has a part of the game. Oh, it's so
and when
bad.
The players ran, it looked like they were bobbleheads.
I will never go back to that bar again.
Well, I'll never go, like you said. If we're on the road, we're hanging at home. But
I agreed.
I just wanted to get a flavor, a little taste of some of the other bars. So,
those
of you that maybe get upset about any situation we ever have at our little Eagles bar, forget about it, guys.
Yeah, it's 10 times worse there.
There was only at one point when the games ended. I know I don't even want to spend a lot of time on it. Their game ended, so the Niners fans were kind of moving away, and then it said on like 20 of the TVs, "Thank you for watching. See you next Sunday." And I'm going, "Where's the Giants? I mean, so where's the Detroit game? Where's the Bucks? Where's the?"
Yeah,
they're running around. They had a
Cardinals game. We're in Arizona.
Yeah, it's on regular TV, and they had it on 50 of the TVs.
Yeah, there was a bunch of channels there was a bunch of TVs that they never got changed to the game. And then when they did change to the game, there was like a one TV, and it was playing the top section of the game.
Yeah,
it wasn't formatted correct.
Yeah.
It was horrible. It was so horrible. I can't. I have to move on.
I mean, we should have known at that point. We did meet an Eagles fan there. Came in with his son. We were talking to him, and he's running around. We're watching the game on our phone.
Yeah, he
on
left
the YouTube TV, and he said, "I'm leaving."
He said, "Guys, I can't." He just got there.
Yeah.
He ordered his drink and he left. And then they didn't even bring. They brought him his drink, and he was gone. It was hilarious.
So
but
our niece got the drink, and
Tasha got the drink.
Nobody paid for it, so that was nice.
No, we did pay for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they charged us.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
See, yeah, there you go. That bar sucks again. We got charged for his drink.
We left the Google reviews, so be watching that over there.
I want to see more consistency. I'm tired of seeing these great drives where we go down 19 plays, storm down the field, and then we can't do it again ever.
Yeah.
And we go into the second half, and I mean, props to the New York Jets defense. They adjusted. They knew what to do. They knew that they had to really just push Jalen out of the pocket, which I have to say,
right.
The moment hurts. Once the pocket breaks, he's going to have a top 5 offensive line the rest of his career, because whenever the pocket breaks and he has to run out right or left, it's over. Play's done. Throw it away.
Let's see.
Because he'll never complete a pass.
So what's the
throw
side?
An interception.
When he runs, which way?
Well, when he run both. I mean,
it's true.
When he runs to the left, it's 0% chance a play happens.
Okay.
When he runs to the right, it's 1% chance.
And it's only if he runs to the right and then runs forward and throws the ball. He had run really good play there, but he threw the other one right in Gainwell's belly and he dropped it, and that was a big play.
It's just frustrating.
But it's just
he can't roll out. I don't know what happened. He needs to learn to roll out still. It was bad. It's bad. Every time this year he rolls out, I go,
it's over. Just
play's
stop.
over. Where's my drink?
Just throw it out of bounds. And even though we yell when he throws it out of bounds, do it, and we'll both high five, because there was just so many times yesterday that he rolled out, he right or left, and it was just abysmal. It was terrible. I mean,
sorry about the negativity, everyone. We
try
to be the positives, but this is an impossible game to have positive. I mean, the only positivity, Hassan Reddick's back. We can say that.
Amazing.
He's back. He's got 2.5 sacks, and he's at 5.5 sacks in the last 3 games ever since he got his cast off.
Right.
So there's your one positive, but I got nothing else.
But we should have known, when we saw the injury report finally on Friday, because we were flying in a plane, so we didn't have a lot of time. But we saw the injury report, and we're like, Carter's out. And Slay's out. We're like, they played the whole game. I didn't even hear anything all week. It's not like we don't check.
Oh yeah,
we're always looking for stuff and little tips and things, and I just couldn't believe it. And then, of course, everybody was dropping like flies again. I don't know if it's just going to be that way all season. I mean, that's the way we have to kind of look at it. The Kobe Dean comes back, which is nice, and the linebackers played good. But you're like, well, at least these 2 guys are playing well. Now you're sticking a new element. It seems like every week we've got new players, new schemes, new plays, new. It's just it's going to be tough.
Moving on to how did our selected players play? Who did you choose Friday? Do you remember?
Remember, I think I was going to do. I think I went with Morrow again, I believe, but I was going to go Sidney Brown, but that was if he played, but he didn't play. So
you got to stop choosing guys ever.
I know. Next week I'm going to choose myself, and then I'll probably hurt myself jumping off my stool.
Yeah. I chose Jordan Davis. Interestingly enough, in the box score right now, they always adjust these things, but he has no statistics. That's wrong. He definitely was in on at least one of those sacks.
Yes.
He should at least have a half a sack. But he has no statistics at all. And I also saw him in on some run-stopping tackles. He played phenomenal. He played great. So it's kind of bothering me that there's
it is
no
weird
stats.
how that works. And he was definitely pressure. He definitely had some pressures.
Yeah, but I saw him in there. He looked great. We do not have an MVP. I didn't choose one because we lost. There's no MVP to have. We can, if you want to choose one, you can say Reddick, 2.5 sacks. That's great. He's
it's
back.
A shame they wasted that effort because he's starting to look like he did last year. Just the way he's making sacks. I mean, you saw the one when he busted through, and it's like the quarterback just melted. He melted like butter. He didn't even. He couldn't move.
Yeah.
He went one way, and Reddick went the same way, and he just kind of fell to the ground.
Yeah.
He could have 2-hand touched him. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Last note I have on this game. This is probably the most embarrassing loss in the last 5 years. I'd have to go back I'd have to really look into it probably, but I would say this is my most embarrassing loss for the last 5 years.
I didn't hurt. Maybe the Saints game last year is where I had that hole in my chest.
That was up there. Then we at least said, oh, we don't have Hurts.
True.
We have a backup quarterback.
True. And it was kind of a throwaway game as well. But I mean,
this was embarrassing.
Yeah, this was. I mean, this could be. I hate to say it, but this could be a season flipper, field flopper, whatever you want to call it. Because we could lose next week. What are you
saying?
We could lose next week to the Dolphins and be 5-2 and go, okay.
I don't want to talk anything about that yet. We'll get into that later this week with the Dolphins stuff. But there's two things that can come out of this. There's two reactions to have. Number one, like you said, it's a season bomb. We could implode from within,
right?
And the rest of the season, it's all a waste. Or hopefully, it could light a freaking fire. Pardon my language. Could light a fire under this team. Because I have to say, going into this game, I even said it before the game started, this has to be the worst 5-0 team in NFL history, right?
I wouldn't argue.
I mean, they're 5-0. I'm not going to say they're a bad team because they're not a bad team, but they're 5-0. They were 5-0, and I'm like, this has to be the worst 5-0 team in NFL history. Like we had some horrible and insanely lucky wins.
Yeah. And there were games that we were putting up 500 yards of offense.
Yeah,
but you're not scoring any. Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand the play calling. To me is still abysmal. Yesterday, you could see it. We weren't running the ball downhill like we were. So we're missing two guys now. The right side of the line we're missing.
Yeah, more than anything, hopefully this lights a fire under Brian Johnson's butt because he needs to start calling plays better. Because this is brutal. This was so brutal.
Maybe play some Madden or something. But man, I'll tell you, it's just frustrating, and it's hard for us up here to be, like say positive, and also, the big fans that we are to not, be trashing a team that's 5-1. But it's been so hard. I mean, when are we going to get one game? Just put it all together, like you say. So the offense was bad. The defense was great, especially with the Band-Aids I had to put together. But then the special teams fell apart. I mean. There was a few times that Covey had a ball and 20 yards in front of him, and by the time he started running, he got 2 yards and got hit by not one guy, but 5 guys.
It felt like he wasn't seeing the field that well,
and
but his blockers weren't there.
What happened? It was...
moving on to the injuries. So, of course, going into the game, we didn't have Slay, Sidney Brown, Marlon Tuipulotu, Jalen Carter, Quez Watkins. And then in the game, we lost Johnson, Reed Blankenship, Eli Ricks, and Bradley Roby. I guess I should also say we didn't have Cam Jurgens going in, but that's an obvious one. So, now on the right side of the line, I mean, they're saying that Lane's injury is not serious. They're saying he could be back Sunday. I don't know. I don't have anything to say about this, but we could be on the week. We could have a really weak right side of the line this come win week with Sua Opeta and Jack Driscoll.
I mean, Opeta was playing good, but again, he's a guard. The tackle's really the one that's going to have to do the work.
Well, Lane Johnson, you remember, if Lane's out of the lineup, that right tackle position is completely different because we leave Lane on an island. Right. That's the thing. We've always said, that's the big thing. Lane doesn't really get help. People, when Cam is in, or last year when we had Sayamalu, they don't really go and chip for Lane or, let me go help Lane. No, they look for the other guy. Lane he's on his own. Right. That's kind of how we've always treated it. Usually you treat your left tackle that way, but we've always did that with Lane Johnson. He's on an island. He got that guy, and that's it. No one else is coming to help him.
Right.
So when you take him out and you put Driscoll in, that changes everything. The whole offensive line now has to shift.
Yeah.
That he needs help. Now Kelsey's got to be by himself, which is harder to do because now maybe a linebacker's coming in. There's just it's
Salah's not he's not chopped liver. He's a good defense coordinator. I mean that's what he does, and their defensive line, they have some good players on the Jets.
Yeah,
some big linemen, and I mean it was just a shame because we got to really cheer a lot for our defense making some huge plays, and we're going, okay, here we go, got the ball, let's move, and it just every time you would either go stagnant or yesterday interceptions or fumble, and I mean you can't, obviously we all know you can't lose the turnover game, and 4-0 is just, it's probably a 5% chance to win, but that was ugly. Hopefully we get it back. We're going to be at the game this Sunday night in Philadelphia, so hopefully we can scream and maybe something.
Next we'll go jump on the Eagles rooting guide. Washington, pretty okay week for us aside from the Eagles loss. Washington defeated the Falcons. That's okay. Let's let Washington get some wins under the belt, ruin their pick. They're not going anywhere. Bills defeated the Giants. Again, it seems like the Giants
the Giants look good, but
they look better, yeah. They look better with Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, that's true. Daniel Jones.
Tonight, Cowboys-Chargers play. Go Chargers. This is going to be huge for us to maintain that 2-game lead, especially after just flopping this weekend. We could have had a 3-game lead if something were to happen. But next, Rams, they defeated the Cardinals. So for the NFC stuff, Lions defeated the Buccaneers. Seahawks, they lost to the Bengals, so that's pretty good. And then the Saints, good thing for our pick, they lost to the Texans. I can't even focus on these. I'm just so mad.
I'm
so frustrated.
We didn't see any of the other games,
no,
as you've been told. So, I mean, it was just too hard. You couldn't even get an in edgewise on stats or anything like that. Yeah. But biggest thing, glad to see the Saints lost.
I was going to say, biggest thing, the Browns, of course, they beat the Niners, and that's just huge. I mean, that's so good for us, especially considering we lost.
Right. Well, not just that. The Rams, the 49ers, I did see about half the third quarter and all of the fourth quarter. I know you guys came a little bit later, but they looked awful. And when I got in the game, I think it was almost the start of the fourth quarter, Purdy had thrown for 73 yards, and he was like 50%, threw a pick. He might have a TD. But then, of course, Debo and McCaffrey went out. No surprise there to me. I've been saying it all year. When is it going to happen? And it happened. They don't even know the extent of the injuries yet as we sit here Monday afternoon. Not that we want anybody injured, but that's what happens to them every year. It's one of their running backs goes down or doesn't have a good 4 or 5 week period, and then the team's going to tank. But it was not fun being around about 140 49ers fans.
It's crazy. So jumping over next week in a loop, we got the Miami Dolphins in the Link Sunday Night Football. As my dad mentioned before, we're actually going to be at that game, me, my father, and my sister. We'll be recording on Friday night again to talk about the game and do our pregame and everything. We're going to see if we're able to record in Philly. I don't know if we'll be able to do a full episode or bring all of our stuff, so I'm not sure how that'll work. But we'll try to do something for you if we can, at least get maybe an audio clip out or maybe just a quick 10-minute episode about the game or something. Jumping over, well, actually, before
some crowd shots or something.
Yeah, we'll definitely get some of that out there, yeah. In other news, only major thing we have going on, the Phillies, of course, they play tonight, playing Game 1 of the NLCS against my hometown Arizona Diamondbacks. It's hard. We talked about in the last episode if you were able to listen. Obviously, we're Phillies fans, and we'll always be rooting for the Phillies, but it's hard for me to root against the Diamondbacks. I'm connected to them for the rest of my life. So,
just because, we were down there too, and a lot of the people like, hey, oh yeah, the Phillies, hey, and and you don't want to say anything bad, only because they've had a Phoenix. If you're from Phoenix, they haven't had much of a championship situation. One Super Bowl loss, like in one NBA championship loss. They've been to a couple NFC championship games.
They haven't won a championship since 2001. The Diamondbacks,
right? And only the Diamondbacks. Yeah.
Suns lost 2 years ago in the finals. That's right. Cardinals lost in 2008 against the Steelers.
Yes.
All around it kind of.
And really, they weren't a big sports town until the last 20 years, 30
True.
years.
Yeah, you're right.
They got the Cardinals in '88, and they had the Suns. Suns it's really a basketball town down there.
Yeah.
ASU, of course, has been good a few times, but 9 out of 10, they're a lousy team too. So. Yeah.
Go Phillies, and I guess, if the Diamondbacks were to win, I'm not going to cry myself to sleep. But
go Chargers, too, of course.
Go Chargers, of course, tonight, yeah.
I'll be watching both. Probably watching the football a little bit more intense because I did just a real tough weekend this weekend. I had the games on, but I was busy doing things, so I didn't really focus on the early games, and I didn't have my YouTube TV ticket with me. We had no internet where I was at, so I had to watch the one game that they give you, and I don't know how people do that. I did it 30 years ago. I don't know how they do it nowadays. If you're a football fan, how can you not have the NFL ticket? Okay, I'm done.
Okay. You got anything else to say about the game or anything else?
No, nothing.
I don't want to. We got to get out of here.
No.
I'm getting upset. All right. Other than that, if you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or wherever you're listening. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. You can comment below with anything you want us to talk about or any questions you want us to answer. You can email us your questions at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But other than that, from us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, my name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
And fly, Eagles, fly.